Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Hilsen. With me today is the woman who knows how to set personal boundaries, Alex Standy. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today.
And I'm especially happy today because I got a notification from Alex just before we did the show today that she had some stories to tell. And we know from experience that when Alex has stories to tell, first of all, they're going to be good stories. Second of all, they're going to be, I don't want to say educational, informative. No, that's not even that. They're going to bring our lives up. That's what I'm aiming for. I can't find out what that adjective is.
Elevate?
They're going to elevate us. Yeah, they're going to pick us up.
Good word.
Yeah. So without further ado, Alex, what's happening?
Hold on, I'm having Wi-Fi issues. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so besides the Wi-Fi issues, what else is happening?
Wi-Fi issues. So guys, my 20 high school reunion is this weekend. And I'm going, very excited. We're having a weekend away at my hometown. When we first started planning this 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, I knew I was going, but I didn't know how I was going to afford it. And magically it all just fell into place. This is before I had a job. This is before I even knew what the hotel was going to cost. I just decided that I was going and I was going to figure it out. Long story short, I ended up getting a job and luckily working some extra hours and was able to afford the hotel. One of my friends who was helping me plan the reunion decided that he was going to gift me and Kenny our ticketing gift because he didn't get to go. And hold on, what are you looking for? Downstairs. Sorry. Men can never find anything. And so yeah, we're going away for the weekend and it's gonna be great.
That sounds fabulous. But by the way, we're still getting those Wi-Fi issues a little bit. You're cutting out about every 15
Hold on.
seconds.
Let me switch to I got a new Wi-Fi extender. I don't think it's working properly.
Yeah, you're breaking up like once every 10 to 15 seconds, so that would make sense.
Oh, that's fine. Hold on. Let me switch to my other Wi-Fi.
Okay. But that's really great, though, that all those things just ironed out and just fell into place. I mean, don't you love it when, you're in the groove, when the vibration is right, and everything just starts to hit? Everything just flows, right? Like Julie Hilsen, who's our guest today. Julie, I mean, you know what I'm talking about there, right?
Yes.
When everything just kind of hits, everything just, it's like one beautiful thing after another.
The synchronicities and, like that setting that intention with the heart that you're going to be there.
Okay, I'm back.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there you are. So since we kind of had, we got the sense of what you're talking about, give us like the summary one more time of the sequence of events that happened.
So the sequence of events are, we were planning my 20th high school reunion, about 6 months ago. I had no idea how I was going, but I knew I wanted to go. I ended up getting a job that actually ended up helping me pay for the hotel rooms. And then, we also got a discount on the hotel. So that was great because one of my friends who went to high school with, she does some sort of, she's a party planner for her job. So it's like her job to get discount group rates for everything. So she got us discounted rates. And then my friend who I'm planning the reunion with decided to gift us the tickets to the reunion as a wedding gift because he didn't get to come.
Wow, that's beautiful.
The wedding gift, I didn't catch that the first time. So you had her repeat that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a key part right there.
And then more awesome things happened this week. So a law had passed that affected me and Kenny's financial situation in a positive way and ended up getting a check for like $900 yesterday.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Talking new outfit, hair. Your hair looks great. Don't do anything to your hair.
I feel like
maybe makeup.
Yeah, I don't think she'll change the hair too. She's Mrs. Purple, so I mean everything that comes out of her is purple. So I don't see that part ever changing. But no.
Love it.
So great. Hey, that's fabulous. It's nice to hear some good news coming your way. That's a great thing. Yeah, big change going on there. I like that. So keep that vibration going, all right?
Yep. Always.
Okay. Speaking of vibration, our guest today is Julie Hilsen. She's the author of Life of Love, The Joyful Guide to Self and Sensuality. And really cool, her book is being released on Amazon today.
Talk about synchronicities, right? I mean,
like, holy cow.
Yeah, it's been a thing with Amazon. And so, yeah, I got the message today, and I even got on there. It said print copy, which it's just been Kindle for the last 2 weeks, and we've been waiting for that. So yes, but thank you so much for having me on. I'm very excited to be here. I wanted to extend that gratitude for the platform and my message. And Alex, I just can't wait to hear what happens at the reunion, because there's a reason why everything's fallen in line that you've gotten to go. So that's going to be this is a segue to the main event, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's going to be something that comes out of this, and it's going to be the basis for more stories that will be told here on the show. So that's a good thing too, something to look forward to.
I was telling Penny how excited I was because I went to the 10-year, and last time I went, I had to go with one of my friends because we were both single. So we were like, why don't we split the tickets? And I was 150 pounds heavier.
Wow.
So I'm already winning this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, 100. I didn't realize that you'd taken that much off. That's really something.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I bet you just feel so amazing, so light.
I do. Yeah.
So,
I was telling my mother-in-law, I said, I lost 150 pounds, but I'm bringing another 160 with me. And she was like, wait, what? I was like, you're done.
You haven't been married that long to talk about his weight. I've been married 21 years. I can talk about the weight.
I can only talk about it because it's only 160. If it was any more than that, then I'd be like...
I wasn't even talking physical weight. I was talking about like... Oh, it's so fun. Being married is great.
So, Julie, you got to give us a little bit of your background. Tell us how you got to be where you are right now, the author of this new exciting book that's coming out.
Oh, well, I've always been curious, but I always, since I was a third born of 4 children, I have 2 older brothers and a younger sister. So I've always been that middle child persona where I was always living my life to fulfill everyone else's acknowledgments, if that makes sense. I lived in the lens of how much approval I had, and I followed the template of, you get good grades, you take the right tests, you go to the right school, and checking off all the boxes, but I was really feeling like we lost Alex.
Yeah, I think she's having more of those Wi-Fi issues. She'll be back.
Okay, good. Come back.
Come back,
Alex.
I can't come back. I don't know how it works.
So, I just, I found myself feeling like I should be happy. Like I've done everything. We had money, we have a house, beautiful children, great friends, but, something was missing, and I just had to figure it out because I was slipping into, I called it zombiehood, just not wanting to get up.
Good label. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it.
Yeah, because I was living according to everyone else's parameters. And so I just did a lot of serious soul searching, and I started going to master classes and reading a ton of books and just taking it all in, just very, very curious. All of a sudden I didn't want to even go to my job anymore. I'm a speech pathologist. I worked at the Children's Hospital. I love the kids, but all of a sudden everyone that worked there seemed oppressive to me.
Wow.
And once you start questioning and looking at the structures around you and realizing what your heart is telling you versus what everyone else is telling you, then it's a tough road, right? Well, I mean, you're swimming upstream. And so I needed to take time to put it all together because I felt like I was living among zombies also. And I was like, what can I do? What can I do to raise the vibration so people can understand that they can live in joy and love? And it's not based on anything that you're told to be. It's not based on anything you're supposed to to have materialistically. Like I love nice things, don't get me wrong, but
Sure.
now I pick out nice things because I like the way they feel. I like the quality. It's not because 3 people on my street have it already.
Yeah,
That
that's a
makes
big
any
difference.
sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because what you're doing at that point is you're saying, I'm not trying to please others. I'm trying to please myself. I'm trying to find what I like, what makes me feel good. And whether or not it makes somebody else feel good, if it makes somebody else feel good, great. If it doesn't, I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm certainly not going to compare it to what they're doing or what they're experiencing or anything, because that's their experience. That's what you're really saying.
Mm-hmm. And
so I love that.
I learned to stop judging myself for my things. I started just observing and looking at it and then embracing it, even if it was something negative. And there's certain things I went through and I was like, I can write this. And the angels told me, they told me to write this book. And it's going to sound crazy, but I did. I sat down every day at 2:00 and I wrote for an hour, whatever came in. And I contacted a publisher and I said, hey, this is my thought. I want to make a guidebook. I feel so much happier when I live in my sensuality and I'm present and I'm using these techniques to stay in joy and stay in my authentic self. And if I slip down and I fall on my face, I have ways to get back. And so I just, my book resonated with the publisher. And, so here I am. And I started my own podcast so I could talk to my audience and keep it going. And it's just been amazing. I tell you, since April, when I started connecting with people like you and just getting to this vibration, this curiosity, this place where you can just bounce ideas that, you just can't typically talk to every person about. It's been a really great road. And
there's like a key thing that happens. And maybe you have a take on exactly how this happens, but somewhere along the line, it often gets tied to a traumatic event or, a major upset in life. Not always, but often does. But the thing that I'm talking about is that there's somehow, we often call it an awakening, becoming enlightened. Though these are all terms that are used to describe it, but really it's just noticing something that we didn't notice before. Realizing that, wait a minute, there's something else going on here that I've never paid attention to, that I've never really given any thought to, but I think it's a pretty big deal. And that's like the beginning of it. That's where we start that questioning process. We start that curiosity, to use the word you were using, that investigative approach, trying to figure out what is this thing all about. Do you have any sense about what it is that makes some of us notice? Because not everybody notices. A lot of people just keep going through the same kind of life that they've been going through all along. But sometimes something along the line, many of us just, we reach this point and we start noticing things that we didn't notice before.
I think it's the ask. I think it's the show me. It's the people that want to get quiet enough to really feel. And that's what I was really blessed with. And maybe it's part of my keys of my soul mission, is that I was always told, you're so sensitive, Julie, just blow it off. Just let it go. You're so sensitive. You're so emotional. And I'd always be like, oh my God, I am. Like, nobody else cries when they're reprimanded, like to not do something, I would just melt down. You're like, don't tell me I did the wrong thing. Like, I couldn't take it. And I always thought I was broken, but actually I'm the one that can see when an oppression's happening, because I feel it. Like, I feel it in my gut when we're being oppressed, and when there's fear structures in place, like, I feel it. Like, I can tell you, within 30 seconds of talking to someone, I can tell you that person's running a fear program. So my sensitivities are my gift, but I used to think that I was like weak and I needed, someone strong to hold me up. But I'll take help. Don't get me wrong. And I'll surrender. I'll surrender all day, but I'm going to live in my divine feminine power to feel. And that, once I understood that these things that the world had been telling me were my problems were actually my gifts and my salvation, it was just like, boom. But I had to ask. I had to be like, I don't want to be here. Show me. I was like, God, universe, show me what I need to see. And I just got quiet and asked. And
can you recall the moment when you finally made that connection? for the first time?
I really can't. I mean, I know I had days where I just cried because, it's like a emotional detax. And I'm not saying
Yeah, sure.
this is easy work. It's work.
Oh yeah. They call it work for a reason.
But, I don't go to those. I'm going to stay in bed and cry all day anymore. Like that doesn't happen. And I was never like medicated. I probably should have sought some psychiatric care, but maybe they would have medicated me and I wouldn't have gotten through it, so.
I had a guest on just the other day. That's exactly what they tried to do. They just tried to medicate. And she realized that wasn't going to help her. And finally she had to lie to them, say, I'm fine, I'm cured, in order to get them to stop. But yeah, I think you nailed it. They would not have been helpful. They probably would have been a hindrance more than anything else. Yeah. So the fact that you were able to find your way, I mean, it sounds to me like it was a process rather than, a distinct event, because like you said, you couldn't really identify exactly where it happened, which I think fits. I think everybody kind of experiences it as a process. It's sort of a slow transition that happens. But at some point you look back and you say, oh, why didn't I notice that before?
Right. And the idea that you can show up differently every day, like just because I reacted this way yesterday doesn't mean I have to do that today. Like today's a new day. And to me, that's like huge. Like just because you've always worn a green shirt doesn't mean you have to, it's like you have this choice. You're empowered. And, in those emotional situations or any kind of relationships or parenting, I think we sort of get into these ruts where we're fulfilling a role instead of listening to what our soul is telling us. And if you listen to your soul's like, no, just tell them that you're frustrated because you want to see them do their best instead of putting more pressure on them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
There's just, it's when you're coming from a heart center, you can have so many more resources, but you have to understand to come from your heart center instead of your ego. Alex is back!
Hey, there she is. Hooray.
I fixed it.
That Wi-Fi's giving you a hard time today, huh?
Yes. Oh, I don't know why.
It was just meant to be. I don't know. We'll find out.
I
There's
don't know.
always something that comes out.
Tomorrow's 11/11, so who knows? We could be feeling that there's a big portal opening up tomorrow, but we could be feeling it ahead of time.
Possibly.
Yeah, big light.
Plus, here on the show, we often have electronic things go on just because we're doing the show, and the higher vibration that we get, the more electronic things go on. So it's not out of the ordinary for things like this to happen.
Wow.
Fairly common. Yeah.
That's a great sign.
Barely.
It is. Yeah. It's a little disconcerting, but it's great. Now, there's something else I want to ask you about. It's the last word in the title of your book. Life of Love, the joyful guide to self and sensuality. And I get the feeling that the word sensuality means something very specific for you. What does that mean for you?
It's the gooey. It's the gooey of your life. It's something that you can only determine. And I wanted to put sensuality in the title of the book because I wanted to get people's attention, because we all want to have a better existence. We want to be more joyful. We want to connect more. And sensuality it's a beautiful thing, and you don't necessarily need to have it with another person. It's always great. It's bonding when you can have high sensuality with your partner or, anything, but, you can have sensuality with a meal, you can have sensuality with flowers. And I want to open up that portal for people to know that they're divine beings and they're here to be happy. And if they can have moments of sensuality, that's going to it's something you can't buy. It's a state. So I wanted to just help people find that state, give them, I'm an activator. So I try to help people get to where they can be for the highest good.
So when you use the word sensuality, you're using it kind of in the way I might use the word sensuous, meaning sense-oriented.
Sensuous. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Meaning that you are aware and alive with your senses at all times.
Yeah, like, well, if you take a sensual shower, that's totally different from, I just got to get to work.
Very true.
Like, there's so many things. And
it's not something that most of us pay a lot of attention to, I don't think. I think most of us kind of, I don't want to say that we block ourselves, but we just don't pay attention to what our senses are giving us most of the time.
We take it for granted too. Or it might be too much. Sometimes it's just too much.
Yeah, well, Alex knows all about that. She's on the what's it called? I can't remember what it's called now. What's the scale that you're on, Alex?
Autism spectrum.
The autism scale, yeah. She's on the autism spectrum, and that's all very. I couldn't think what it was called.
She doesn't get on the scale anymore. She's lost 100 pounds. She doesn't need any scales.
There you go.
Nah, I don't believe in scales anymore.
But anyone on the autism spectrum has a very high level of sense data coming through, sense awareness coming through, to the point where it can be overwhelming. So, it's almost a different experience.
Right. Everybody's individual.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I try to get to. 'Cause I have, in my book, I have a lot of like fill in the blanks, like to you, like your humor, the things you like to touch, the things you like to smell, like just go through a lot of things where you just fill it in to find yours. 'Cause I can't make a cookbook of happiness. Like everybody has their own idea, and that's why it's beautiful. And, you just resonate your happiness and the world becomes this colorful place.
And let's talk for a moment about the joy that is associated or can be associated with all of that sensual awareness. Because since most of the time, most of us kind of blank it out, we kind of lose track of the fact that when you have that conscious awareness, that conscious connection, it actually fuels you. It actually provides a way to enhance your life in many ways, not the least of which is by making it more joyful.
Yeah, it's like, it's your creativity. So it's your solar plexus. You're connected to the ground. We're spiritual beings here having a earth experience. And so part of that playing on the earth is being connected to your centered in your power, your solar plexus. So the more you can be creative and determine your sensuality by your own creativity, the more energy you're putting into the universe. And I've been contemplating, it might be just, that's what we're here to do. Is to put that high energy, that creativity into the world. And that, I think that's the new currency that we're going toward.
Ooh, I like that.
The new currency.
I like that a lot.
I do too.
Yeah, that really resonates.
And
it resonates on a couple levels, because one of the things that I've talked about in different contexts here on the show in the last year or so is how I think our actual monetary currency is going to be quite different. We're going to understand it differently, think about it differently, say 10 years from now. And you just gave me another interesting way to look at that. That's really cool. I like that.
I like that we're on the same wavelength. That's awesome. And you connected to me, and I'm so happy to be here. So there it goes.
That's the way that works.
The wheel turns, right?
Yeah.
Round and round we go.
And we're all just trying to figure out why we're here. So we might as well be happy doing it.
Exactly.
But you've actually tapped into something very cool there. The idea that we are here to feed the energy back to the universe, to God, to however you want to describe.
And not to fear or draconian stuff.
Talk about that for a second.
Well, there's systems in place that are crumbling. I can feel them crumbling that do fear. They do feed off of the fear energy. And fear does create an energy. Everything has a quantum effect, right?
Sure.
I mean, so your heart sends out the strongest energy, quantum effect, and your brain does send out some, but your heart's stronger. So I believe there's systems that have been getting energy off of our fear. It's sort of, what's that movie with the scream jars? Mike Wazowski's in it.
Oh,
Monsters Inc.
Yes. Mike Wazowski.
I was like, Mike Wazowski.
The little green guy.
He's like,
the green eyeball.
and sometimes these power structures tell us what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Monsters Inc. was like telling us, they're feeding off children being scared of ghosts and monsters under their bed. So, I mean, maybe that was a clue. I don't know. Maybe we'll know the answers when we pass over, I guess. But
right.
But I'd much rather feed to the positive, heartfelt energy system than and I don't look at the fear. I don't subject myself to it. I remove myself from anyone who tries to implement that to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think actually we're learning it now. I think we're actually, that's how we're ending up having conversations like this one. Because more and more, this is one of the most interesting phenomena from my perspective as a podcast host. I've been doing this for 10 years now. And during that 10-year period, I have become more and more and more and more and more aware of all of the people out there from different walks of life. Many of them become life coaches and such, but many of them pursue other vocations as well. They're all discovering the same things. We express them a little bit differently. We perhaps think about them differently, but they all add up to the same thing. When you get that many people discovering the same thing described 1,000 different ways, you say to yourself, there's something going on here. This isn't just, individual people just figuring stuff out for themselves that's useful for themselves. This is like everybody tapping in to a single thing. Mm-hmm. Now, what's that single thing? I'm not sure I could say. I'm not sure any of us could really say. But whatever this single thing is that we're all tapping into, it is something that is real, and it's something that we are, in a real sense, manifesting into life now in a way that wasn't happening 25 years ago, let alone 50, 75 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I've been seeing in the 10 years I've been doing this, and it's unavoidable. I mean, it's so real to me that if somebody were to come along and say, well, you're just making it up, I'd say, you sit in this chair for 10 years and you tell me.
I think you hit it on the head. It's the one thing. We are one.
Mm-hmm.
We are one. So all these messages are coming into one. And, if you're feeling chaos, if you're feeling victimhood, it's because it's in you. It's something you need to resolve.
Mm-hmm.
And, if it's out there happening in the world, it's happening to us because we are one.
Right.
Which creates confusion. I mean, because it's to be honest, that is a little bit of a conflicting message. I know exactly what you're talking about. Alex knows exactly what you're talking about. Most of our listeners know exactly what you're talking about. But there's like a little conflict in there, isn't there? Because on the one hand, it's us. We're the ones who are creating these dysfunctionalities in our lives. And on the other hand, we're living in this world where all these dysfunctionalities are being created. And that's the dichotomy. On the one hand, on the other hand.
And it's the acknowledgement that, yes, things are broken. I see it. I'm not going to judge it. I'm just going to feed my energy a different way. It's there.
And part of the challenge is actually learning to realize it's not actually broken. It's learning to think about it differently so that we stop thinking about things as if they're broken and people as if they're broken. There really aren't any broken people. There are people who certainly behave like they're broken. There are people who think that they're broken. But in the final analysis, I don't think there are any broken people.
And who are we to say they're broken?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. They might have past lives they're trying to get through, to resolve issues in past lives. I think that's a real thing. Who are we to judge? I think it's neutrality, just accept. I mean, if someone's hurting you, you step in, right? Or your family. I mean, you have, like Alex says, standard, or no, you say boundaries, but I say standards, which is interesting because it's a root word of your last name.
Last name, Standy, yeah.
And I just thought that synchronicity just was so wonderful. And I saw that because I was like, because my last chapter of my book had boundaries. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to make this standards.
Mm-hmm.
These are things I will only stand for this. This is,
yes.
Everything else doesn't resonate. So I'm going to remove myself instead of judging or controlling that or whatever. I'm going to be neutral. That doesn't work for me. I'm going over here.
Right.
And I did not mean to interrupt you. I'm so sorry, Alex. You're going to say
That's totally fine. What I was going to say is, a lot of people cater to things that don't even matter, but it's like you're putting that energy towards it by making it matter. But if it doesn't matter to you, then it doesn't matter, period. So you don't have to worry about it. And there's no need to stress over things that don't matter because they don't matter.
Yeah, because you know your values. You know
If you're stressing over things that don't matter, you're going to make it matter.
Funny how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the more we give our attention to something, the more it gets bigger and bigger. And then we wonder why.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that thing in the first place.
Right.
Right.
Why did I make this mountain out of a molehill? Now I have a mountain.
Yeah. And I'm interested in your word standards too, because I'm thinking about that one and I'm saying to myself, what we're really straddling here is the difference between what I call judgment and discernment. Judgment being discernment with an added moral twist to it.
Mm-hmm.
Discernment doesn't have a moral twist. It's more like preference. I like this. I don't like that. And
Right.
everybody's entitled to preferences. But you don't necessarily have to attach a moral stricture to it, which is where the judging part comes into it. So describing something as a standard, what you're really saying is it's a standard of what I prefer, of what I like, what I feel good about. It's the discernment side.
Yay, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that's really good. It's a nice switch on the word standard, because standards usually, when you take the word standard out in, the general populace, for most people, a standard it's judgmental. I mean, a lot of people use that word judgmentally, and you're twisting it around. You're saying, no, it doesn't have to be judgmental at all. I like that. Anytime that we can take a word away from the dark side and put it back on the light side, I like that.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like that a lot. So, all right. So the book is called Life of Love, The Joyful Guide to Self and Sensuality. We talked about the sensuality part. Let's talk about the self part. How did that come into it?
Oh, because you have to know yourself. It's your individuality. So it's just like a way to go within, because you have to go within first. You have to do that. Soul, you got to go in with a microscope and just really know who you are and what you represent, and know you're always growing, you're always changing. But you gotta start with where you are. And even if you've dealt with something with yourself, it may still come back. So it's not like you deal with it once and it's done. It's like a spiral. You might not go as deep, dark into it, but it's going to surface again, and you just got to greet it. You got to see it, try to understand it, embrace it, and send it on its way. Yep. Send it to a place where it can have some more use because you're done with it.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I'm particularly curious in your choice of the word self, in part because a lot of people, I want to say this in a way that doesn't sound like I'm being judgmental. Well, people can be very rough on selves. Very, very rough on selves. And to the point where the self is almost something to be swept aside for a greater good, that kind of an idea. And that, to me, is a little problematic because we are here as selves. So do we really want to deny the selfhood? And if I actually ask somebody who's presenting that viewpoint, that kind of question, it's always, oh, no, we don't want to deny the selfhood. But then 5 minutes later, they're beating up on the self again. Now, I get the impression that when you're using the word self, you're using it a little bit differently. And that's why I was asking you, what the self part of the statement was all about. And based on what you just said about it, it sounds to me like self to you is more about honoring the self rather than dissecting it. Am I on the right track?
You are. It's a big message. I talk about guilt and shame and how they're so useless. They're just control words. You can feel like you don't want to repeat a situation, but placing guilt and shame on it doesn't change the situation. It gives it more power. and it's not an empowering for yourself. And then a big part of it is compassion, self-compassion. Like you have to look at yourself through the, know that your heart's in the right place. You're not a mean, bad person. And so it doesn't make you better that you beat yourself up for screwing up.
Mm-hmm.
That's a main part of my book is like, just give yourself the love that you give your best friend. Give yourself the understanding you'd give your best friend. Because
treat yourself as if you are your best friend.
Right.
And I think we have this martyrhood like stamp on our society. And I talk about expectations and even white wedding dresses. Like, what the heck is a white wedding dress? Like, nobody's pure. And it makes us look, if you know what I mean? Like, we're good girls and we're bad girls, and we should be able to enter a marriage like knowing that we have all sides to us. Like, we're not going to be white and pure. Like, it's like ridiculous. Like, I go into things like that. I go into parents trying to protect their children to keep their innocence and how it makes them hide things. Mm-hmm. If they don't know how to set their standards around their body and, express what they want to be fulfilled, or, type of sexual things get hidden because it's like a shame. It's like a hidden thing because, we're supposed to wear a white wedding dress. There's so many things that we just need to question. We just need to look at it and say, does that even make any sense anymore?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. In fact, when I think about the various ways that we set ourselves up what we're really doing is we're setting ourselves up with extreme expectations that don't make any sense. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We do it fairly regularly rather than just accepting ourselves for who we are, accepting others for who they are, just saying, okay, that's who that is. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's who I am.
Yeah. And once you're okay with your flaws and you're like, that's just, I'm going to be jealous. That's just how I am. You're like, I'm sorry, I'm just a jealous person. If your coworker calls and you answer the phone in a higher voice, I'm going to feel threatened, right? Like, I'm just jealous. But once you're honest, then they can be honest with their insecurities. They can be like, well, I don't like it when you train with Trevor at the gym. You know what I mean? Like, and then, mm-hmm. It just opens up. And it can be a lighthearted banter. It doesn't have to be like, I'm just, it's not like I'm jealous with a mean heart. It's like, yeah, I'm freaking jealous. You mean so much to me that I don't want anyone else taking your attention that way. Like, I just want to love you so hard, like, isn't that different from like attacking or being like hiding that you're jealous? Like, just get out in the open.
Well, when you're getting it out in the open, among other things, you're also getting it out in the open for yourself. You're making it clear to yourself, this is where I'm actually feeling. Mm-hmm. And the reason I think that's so important is we are all capable at any given time of deciding to change our preferences. We can do that anytime we want to.
Right.
It's awful hard to change your preference if you don't know what it is.
Exactly.
But once you've got it out in the open to yourself, if you're happy with it, you can stay with it.
Right.
If you decide, well, maybe I really don't want to be jealous anymore, then you don't have to be jealous anymore. You can change, but you can't do it until you've identified it.
Right.
Part of doing the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I give people prompts, and everything I suggest to try to do, there's an angel message to ask for help, because I think a lot of people want to connect to help from spirit, source, angels, Jesus, God, whatever whatever resonates with you. There's words to say, hey, I'm here and I'm just asking, just to give somebody who's just entering some kind of, if you want to enter a magical or mystical situation, just to say, hey, I'm here and I have an open heart, and what works for you, go for. If it doesn't, just leave it. But yeah, so I hope to trigger people's connection with help, because there's help all around us in all the dimensions. They want to see us succeed. They don't want us sad. We're here to have fun and work hard, get through this stuff. Just, enjoy the ride. There's so much suffering. We don't need to stay there.
Interesting too that you used the word angels a few times now, so clearly that's a term that is meaningful for you. It resonates with you. When you think about what an angel is, what's the impression that that kind of impresses itself on you that says, yeah, that's an angel?
Well, I know some people, like I have a friend, she can see images. I do not. I'm more clairsentient with it, where I can feel their support. I've asked for help, and I felt like a support on my shoulder before. And so it's a feeling, it's a vibration. It's things showing up when I ask the angels to help me with it. They do. And they can do it on a material level. I mean, it's something to come at with a clear heart, and something where you're asking for the highest good, and show me this or something better, because we don't always know exactly what we need. We want certain things, but the universe might have something even better than what we think we want. So I always ask for this or something better.
Yeah, a number of people do that. And I'm curious to know, when you ask for something better, does that feel different to you to ask it that way?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's a different vibration. So I do think, like, the angels, and, whether it's galactic beings that we identify as angels, I know there's a lot of energies, but there's definitely something that we're blocked from seeing, but I can feel it. There's something supportive about it. And when I forget to ask for help, and then I release and ask for help, I can feel the vibration change.
That's the beauty of knowing your particular form of sensual awareness, I guess is the best way I can think of. You describe yourself as being clairsentient, so you feel your way, essentially. You feel stuff, and I think that's probably the one that I resonate with the most for myself. I've never really identified myself as being clear X, whatever the X is. I've never really said I'm one or the other or whatever. But if I had to pick one, clairsentient probably makes the most sense to me.
Mm-hmm. I think we all are. I'm not special. I wasn't hit with lightning or anything. I didn't die and come back. I think it's just that I've opened up and tapped into it, more than maybe the next person. But I'm not. I do feel like lately. I feel like when I walk outside, my feet are lighter, and I don't know what's going on with that. Like there's definitely a higher. And I haven't lost weight like Alex. I'm almost 50, and I'm like, I can't eat pretzels the way I used to.
So true.
I'm so sad. No queso dip with my pretzel. It's sad.
But that's interesting, though, that you're feeling it as lightness in your feet,
mm-hmm.
because I suspect that means lightness overall too. I mean, that to me suggests just living at a higher vibrational pace most of the time.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't shared this with a lot of people, but I don't know. We're just here talking. I have had visions of myself riding on a dragon too.
Ooh.
And I don't know what the dragons have to do. I know the dragons, they say, can guard the ley lines, the energy lines that are on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if maybe that's part of my afterlife is dragons, but definitely and they're very benevolent. There's no fire breathing. It's just like me flying with the dragons. It's like dreams and some meditations where I felt that, which is really interesting.
Well,
the universe is telling you to watch Game of Thrones.
Oh, you know what? I do need to watch that. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, House of Dragons just came out, so maybe that.
Okay. Ooh. I need something to binge. Well, Yellowstone's coming back out soon too, right?
I haven't gotten into it, but my mother raves about it.
That Elizabeth, you got it. Oh, Alex. Once you meet Elizabeth, you're going to be like, girl.
Oh, man.
And Kevin Costner, he's just such a great actor. I just really enjoy watching him.
Story.
It's like in his element. I don't know. Like Dances with Wolves was one of my favorite, and this is like, it's like a soul reincarnation with John. It's like crazy to, those two films with the same actor. It's just really fun for me.
I think one of the reasons I like Kevin Costner so much is because he has found a way to be genuine without trying to be genuine. Not many actors are able to do that.
Keanu Reeves.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. Yep. There's another one, but there aren't many. It's a short list.
I could probably count on one hand.
I bet you. Well, you might take two hands just because you know so many of the movies that are out there, but that's another story.
True.
Yeah. This lady, Julie, is like the queen of the latest movie releases, the latest television show releases. I mean, she is a personal TV guide. I mean, literally, that's the way she is.
I love it. Who's the actor, Alex? You'll know it really fast. He was in Shawshank Redemption, and he was that God in one of those movies.
He was God.
He's older. He's older.
Oh, Morgan Freeman.
Yes, I think he's authentic too.
Very true. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He came to mind when you said those two other actors.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely on that list.
Love him.
It's a short
list. And ironically, he was in that movie. He played God in that movie with Jim Carrey, who is another wholesome person.
True. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Carrey is a really interesting person.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
Oh, yeah. He's not afraid to show all his sides. Did you see that documentary he did? Wow, that was powerful. I'm like, whoa.
He's like, I know all the secrets of the universe, and I'm going to sit here and tell you them, whether anybody wants to see them or not.
He stole our line. Wait a minute. That's what we do. That's very cool, though. That's really good. Yeah. It's great that we have personalities, famous personalities, who are putting out very positive type vibrations, very positive kinds of messages. Because there's so much negativity out there. It's nice to have some counterbalance. And we just named 4 of them right there.
Yeah.
There are more too, but I mean.
I miss Robin Williams so much.
Oh, yeah. Get out of my head. I was just going to say him. Favorite. Oh my God. Love Robin Williams.
When he passed, I was like, I should have just called him and told him how much I adore him. Like maybe he just didn't know how much I loved him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. There might be more to that story than we're told.
I suspect that, this is based on my own spiritual beliefs, but I suspect that from the moment that he passed, he totally got how much love there was for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
I really do believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember the day it happened. I remember seeing the news report. I remember being one of the first people to share it on social media, and all the disbelief and all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And yes, he was a famous personality, so that's partly why it went so viral so quickly. But the way it went viral, the comments that people were making, people I'd never even seen, because you see that a lot on social media, people you've never heard of before, you're seeing their comments and so forth. I mean, it was just an outpouring of love and tears all combined together. Massive outpouring for one man. Yeah. Really something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't see how he could not have been aware of all that right after his passing. I mean, I think it probably would have been spiritually unavoidable.
I hope so.
to not know that it was going on. Yeah. People like that, they come into our lives and they touch us in ways that we don't fully appreciate when it's happening. We appreciate it afterwards sometimes, many times, but we often don't appreciate it in the middle when we're experiencing it.
Yeah, we're not present.
Yeah, often. It makes me think about the title of your book, Julie, about the life of love. The Joyful Guide to Self and Sensuality, because especially that last word, sensuality, which we talked about a few moments ago, that is, to use Alex's illusion, that's very much in the now. That's very much a here, right now, present kind of connectivity. And when you have that kind of connectivity tied into things like we've been just talking about with famous personalities who are putting out all this fabulous positive vibration, that connectivity just it magnifies, it expands at a tremendous rate, and the more people that share it, the more it expands. But even if just a few people were sharing it, it expands tremendously, and ends up touching people in ways that they don't even know about. Right. So even if they're not now connected, they're still experiencing it on a level. That to me, that's the most interesting part to me. We have this whole society of people who are very much not connected to now, very much connected to past, future, worries, all that kind of stuff. And I am too. I mean, I don't exclude myself from that because I certainly go through all that as well. And yet we're all still receiving these messages that we aren't even aware of most of the time. I think this goes back to the very first question I asked you. You remember how I asked you could you remember when all of a sudden you made the light turn on, you made the connection, and you said no, because I think we agreed it's kind of like a gradual process that happens. Mm-hmm. But that connection is happening over and over and over again with so many people on such a wide scale. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I was talking about before. Mm-hmm. I just keep seeing it happening over and over and over and over again. You described it, Julie, as the fact that we're all one, and I think that's true. It's also the fact that we're all becoming aware in ways that we weren't aware before. Mm-hmm. And I'm marveling at that.
Yeah, we're showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the very least. Yeah. We're showing up, and we're showing up now. Mm-hmm. We're showing up in this present moment. Mm-hmm. No matter where that present moment is in our lives, it's always right there, right in front of us. And
it's we take for granted that we're going to wake up in the morning, but just to start that day, say, thank you for this day. I mean, I get to make choices today. I get to show up how I want to show up. This day is my piece of clay. Like, let's do this,
Nice. That piece of clay. I like that.
And sometimes it's not going to look that good, but you know what?
Practice makes perfect.
Your rabbit might turn into a bear, but
But that's the beauty of clay. You can just mush it up and start all over again.
Right.
Or you can just throw it out the car window,
You can do that too. It's new clay.
That reminds me of, I had a caller the other day, and she told me her father told her once, and it always stuck with her, that today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. I was like, ooh, that's a good one. And so true.
Right.
It is true. Mm-hmm. I was asking myself just now, what's the value of expressing it that way? And I realized part of the value of expressing it that way is it's a way of taking the charge out of whatever you were attaching to it yesterday.
Yes, exactly.
Just kind of remove that charge so it doesn't have the effect on you that it had before.
And then taking a moment and bringing yourself back to the present to realize, like, tomorrow doesn't matter. Yesterday didn't matter. What matters is today.
Mm-hmm. And true. You can work on that energetically too. You can get quiet and do some breathing, like 6 in, 6 out, just getting in touch with your heart, just breathing, and then just ask everything that no longer serves you be cleared away. Mm-hmm. Transmute it and send it on its way, and only allow around you into your vortex what you want, what you're attracting. Mm-hmm. Because you do have static places where things get sort of stuck. But if you visually cleanse those areas, breathe them out, send them on their way, you can reset every day. You don't have to live with the static of yesterday. So that would be a good way. We say, live in the present, but you do need tools. Like, you have to search out and find the tools that work for you, whether it's taking a shower and asking the ions of the water to cleanse your aura. Mm-hmm. It's a real thing. Everyone has an aura, and it affects at least 20 feet away and more. So just clean that. Like, think of a bottle of Windex, whatever works for you, meditate, whatever, find how you can clean your aura and pay attention to it. Pay attention if there's static places, because you deserve to have a clear aura. You deserve to have light and love and your divinity.
We like to add tools to our toolbox around here. You have a very unique way of creating tools, like the Windex to clean the aura. That's clever. I like that. Give us some more tools like that. Do you really? With
I
Windex?
do.
Really?
I like mime everything. I spray, I wipe, I wax on, wax off. I literally do it.
I love it.
Kenny will be like, what are you doing? I'm cleansing my aura because it's a little cloudy in here.
It's just not what I'm not. That's not my standard.
Around the house with sage. It's the same thing. I just,
yes.
yeah.
I love that. Karate Kid reference, and I was referencing My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And those people are so happy, you know? They just wanted to eat and celebrate and be in the moment and, you know, want cake. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But what else do you have besides Windex bottles? Give us like another couple of fun tools to use.
Meditation is so great. Like if you can be quiet for 5 minutes, that's a spiritual cleanse. I mean, it's repeated and repeated, but it's repeated for a reason. I mean, this stuff it's not hard. It's simple, but it can be hard to implement. You know what I mean? It's simple things, but sometimes it's hard to get yourself to do it because it's so simple. You're like, I don't need that, but you do. Yeah. You need to get quiet. You need to do brain dumps. You need to go out and take walks. You need exercise. I mean, you have to clear it out. You got to sweat, and you have to drink water.
Yes.
Routinely, every single show, every single day, throughout the day. Yes, that cup is always getting refilled.
I'm going to chug one when I forgot to bring it down. I have my studio in the basement. I was carrying all my stuff and I forgot my water bottle.
Oh, yeah. So you must be dry about now. Yeah.
Telling myself, drink your water. A lot of times stuff I say is stuff I got to remind myself of.
But that's the reason to do it, right? That's the primary. I mean, yeah, you're benefiting somebody else by stating it, but you're also benefiting yourself. That's pretty powerful, pretty potent stuff. Hey, I've really been enjoying this conversation. I'm so glad you decided to come on to join us today and share some of your insights. I love your view of life. I love the way you think about things. And if your book is anything at all like what you've been talking about, it's going to be a success. I'm just sure.
Oh, thank you.
For sure.
Now, and I want to congratulate you on the fact that it got released today through Amazon. That's fabulous. That's so exciting. For somebody who wants to find out more about Julie Hilsen, though, you got to give people a way. How do they find out more about you?
I have a website, and it's called www.youneedapeptalk.com. So you just type in those words, you need a pep talk. And I started that way before the Angels. I was just like, I need a place to put my recipes, and I wanted people to like give each other support. And that never happened. Like, I don't know. I guess you got to be a counselor or something. But that was my initial thought. I was just like, I have to make this place where people can just help each other. And so that I never got rid of youneedapeptalk.com. So that's where you can find my blog on there, link to my book, in my calendar if you want to schedule with me for a podcast or just if we want to talk. And
and what's the name of the podcast? I don't think we even identified that.
It's the same as my book, Life of Love, A Joyful Guide. Self and Sensuality. Yeah.
And you've been doing it for how long now?
I just did my 21st episode. So it's been since April. So it's been, I'll never stop podcasting. It's just such a...
Once it gets into your blood, all of a sudden, because I started doing a podcast, not because I was enjoying it, but because I was trying to work on myself and get some help for free, basically, bringing experts in and let them teach me. And then I found out how much I loved it, and I just couldn't stop. And here I am 10 years later, I'm still doing it because it's just so much fun.
I know. It's impressive. You're an inspiration. I mean, over hundreds of episodes, and it's just sweet.
It's like other people have asked me, how do you do 1,800 episodes? And I say, I don't know. I did it somehow. But
thousands of episodes. Man, I misspoke. Thousands.
If you'd asked me when I first started, what's it going to take to do 1,800 episodes? I would have said, I have no clue. I have no idea.
Lots of
one at a time. That's all I can think of. Just do them one at a time.
Hour by hour.
Hour by hour. That's it. Yeah. Julie, there's also one other thing I want to tell you before you go, because you, like so many of the people who come onto the show, are such a giver, and you have such a wonderful message to give to people, and that there are many people, people on this listening to this episode, or who have listened to your podcast or other podcasts that you've appeared on, or who have read your book or read articles that you've written or whatever, who you'll never meet, you'll never see, but you've touched their lives in ways that you'll never know about. And I think we need more recognition for that. So on their behalf, thank you for all of the people that you'll never meet, you'll never see, whose lives you touched in a positive way.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's very, very important, and you're certainly one of the best examples of it. So thank you for joining us. And Alex, we're so glad that you've had so many good synchronicities happening. Keep them coming, girl.
Right?
Yeah, gotta have more of those. Really good stuff.
Yep.
And thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.